How's it going, guys? Nate here, and welcome back to another week of Fallout 4 mods. Now, I think it's definitely safe to say by now that mods have progressively gotten significantly better in terms of quality since when they first released on consoles about a month ago. And I hope that trend continues. I hope next week the mods get even better and better, but they're certainly getting a lot more complex and a hell of a lot more fun. So guys, without further ado, here is this week's top 4 Fallout 4 mods on the Xbox One. Coming in at number 1 to kick off this list, we have the Propulsive 5000 Force Push Gun, and oh my god, this is absolutely hilarious. So it spawns in a new enemy called the Postman, who wields this weapon, the Propulsive 5000. Now, this weapon is absolutely amazing. So it essentially combines like the raw pushing power of a giant sledgehammer from Skyrim with the ballistics of a gun, and it makes for the most absolutely hilarious things you will ever do in this game. However, mind you, to acquire this weapon, you have to kill the Postman who runs around with it, and that is going to be the most difficult thing you ever try to do, because this guy will shoot it at you with one burst, push you back like 50,000 feet. So whenever you get close enough to try and kill him, he's just going to rocket you back a few thousand feet. But when you finally do, which I recommend bringing a bunch of companions, maybe some grenades to try and get him over a ledge, but once you get this guy down and you pick up this gun, you are going to have an absolute blast, quite figuratively and literally. So what I like to do is you can go into any city you please, really, and just start firing it away, because the weapon itself actually does 0 damage, which is pretty good for it. Despite it not actually being able to kill people, it won't cause otherwise passive NPCs to aggro at you when you shoot them, meaning you can go into Diamond City and just start shooting guards with it, and they're not going to aggro on you, they're not going to respond aggressively. You can just watch them ragdoll all across the map. It's hilarious. Be careful, this weapon is not made for close range encounters, as it is going to shoot you up in the air, really high, really far to the sides, any real direction. If you shoot it too close to you, you are also going to ragdoll in a variety of different ways, which can be quite funny at first, but trust me, it does get annoying. I wouldn't really recommend using this weapon practically, as for the reasons just cited, but overall it is something fun to have and just mess around with in general. Coming in at number 2, we have the Chinese Assault Rifle by Wasteland Melody. Now, this weapon isn't particularly good or practical. It just brings back that sentiment of nostalgia from the Chinese Assault Rifle that was so kind of just trademark and famous from the previous Fallout games that for whatever reason was absent in Fallout 4. Well, this brings it back, revives a bit of that nostalgia, and it's quite fun to run around with. I really enjoy the sights and just the overall appearance of this gun and the feel it presents. Granted, it doesn't really do a whole lot of damage, and its magazine size is quite limited, so I do recommend you increase the mag capacity. It is also fully moddable. You can add sights to it, add new receivers, new barrels, different stocks, whatever you really want to do with this gun, you're free to do, as there is a very large variety of customization options that actually appears to be more than most weapons you see in the game, so it can be quite fun, and I suppose it's possible to make this thing into something practical. However, I didn't really like to mod it. I really just wanted to keep the original Chinese Assault Rifle feel. I ran around with it for a couple of hours and really enjoyed myself, as it just brought back some memories, and was something that I felt that I didn't really understand its absence from Fallout 4 in general. Maybe it'll make a reappearance in Nuka World or a future Fallout 4 DLC, but for now, this is more than enough to keep me satisfied. Pushing its way into number 3, we have the Don't Call Me Settler mod. Names, jobs, and tools by author. Don't really know why they decided to call themselves this. A1, A3, A6, A9. And what they've gone ahead and done is they've addressed a lot of the initial grievances the community had with settlement mode, particularly regarding settlers themselves and their customization features. So firstly, what it does practically is it changes every single settler's name to something unique and continues to do it whenever a new settler spawns in. So now, rather than just referring to every single settler as settler, they'll have a unique and personalized name that you can call them by. So now I'll say Diana, Ross, April, rather than settler, improving immersion quite a bit in my own opinion, as well as adding an extra layer of organization. And if that's not enough, it also goes into the game's files and adds a little name of the job description of what this settler is doing. So right when you look at them, you'll see, okay, April, gardener, right under their name, or Ross, guard, right under his name, and you'll be able to tell exactly what the settler is assigned to just by looking at them immediately right off the bat, rather than needing to hold select or Y, go into the game's settlement mode, look at the settler, look at the icon of the... No, you don't need to do any of that. Just look at them. You know what job they have just by looking under their name. If there's nothing under their name, you know they're unassigned, and you can proceed to assign them to something else, which I thought was quite cool. And if that's still not enough, it also gives you a holotape in which you can customize a lot of these specific features about settlement mode, whether you want to increase the spawn rate of settlers, whether you want to change the ratios from boys to girls. It's quite hilarious what they do. You can even make all your settlers classified as essential, so in case you get attacked by super mutants or raiders, you don't have to worry about any of them dying. It gets quite in-depth in terms of customization too, and altogether, this is a mod I highly recommend that does more than just what its name might suggest. And finally, to conclude this list, last but not least, we have the Resurrect NPCs, Lazarus Holotape plus Weapons, by author, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this, I'm sorry, Sapphire69, or his name will be in the video, I promise. But essentially what this mod does is it adds in a new holotape as well as a couple of weapons that, as their name implies, allow you to resurrect NPCs. So, say you go through the Brotherhood of Steel questline, right? And you get to that part where you have to go into the railroad and massacre everybody. By the way, spoiler alert 3 seconds ago. Well, you go in there, you do your duty, right? You kill everybody in the railroad. Well, now you can pull out one of the Lazarus weapons, such as the musket, shoot somebody and actually revive them and bring them back to life. Now, you can also do this to raiders too. So say you kill a raider and you're a bit of a sadist, you can bring him back to life and kill them for a second time. Now, I'm not exactly sure how the intricacies of this mod work, but what it appears to do is delete the body and respawn in a replacement of that NPC. Because whenever you kill somebody, and then, for instance, a raider or a generic NPC, it might respawn in a new NPC that looks a little bit different. And now, mind you, when they spawn in, they'll be spawned in at the state they were previously in. So if they were acting aggressively towards you, shooting at you, and you kill them and revive them, don't expect them to stop shooting at you. They're still going to be aggressive if you kill them when they were in an aggressive state. But this mod does have some practical use to it despite that flaw. So it actually allows you to respawn in a variety of NPCs, including companions and even caravans. So say early on in the game you were on a bit of a rampage sort of aspect of your game, you decided to massacre every single caravan you could find and raid them and loot them. Now you can actually respawn those caravans back in and kind of get them back into the game, or maybe just massacre them again if you'd like. But that's pretty cool, because as a player who initially did that and started shooting up every caravan I found, particularly crickets, I began to regret that later in the game, and this mod kind of fixed that problem for me. It also allows you to spawn in a bunch of different generic NPCs like pre-war players and even a copy of yourself. It gets quite interesting at times, and I recommend you give this mod a shot. It's pretty cool, and I enjoyed the utilities that it offered. Anyway, guys, this concludes the video. I hope you found a mod that you want to take a spin for yourself with. I think it's certainly clear by now that the mods are just getting better and better, and more so than we ever thought they would. When mods first came out for console, all they really were just like reskin mods, right? Like, oh, this gives your power armor a new look or color. But now, as you can see, they're getting so much better, and they're getting a lot more complex, and I really like this. And I hope that trend continues when they release the remastered Skyrim and the console mods for that too. If you're a PlayStation 4 user, mods should be out hopefully within the next month, but Bethesda's been, they've been slacking a little bit in that respect. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like if you liked, dislike if you disliked, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.